Hello folks, this is Jim. I live in Texas, and today, September 6, 2008, I did a motorcycle tour of Crawford, Texas, and I'm going to share a little bit of video with you from that tour. Before I do that, a brief public service announcement. I live in Austin. I was up near Crawford in Temple, Texas to attend a Patriot Guard Riders event for celebrating the life of Mr. Albert Cremines, who passed away recently. Mr. Cremines was a veteran of World War II. The Patriot Guard, real briefly, is an organization. It's not a club. It's specifically not a motorcycle club. It's just a group of like-minded individuals who show up at veteran and active-duty military funerals. We hold a flag line. We stand silent with the flags outside the funeral home. Sometimes we escort the funeral coach on our motorcycles. And the whole purpose of it is to show that the community supports our veterans and our active duty military people. It doesn't matter about your politics. It doesn't matter about what motorcycle you ride. It doesn't matter that you even have a motorcycle. It's just a group of people who like to show respect for veterans and active duty military who've paid the price. I do want to mention real briefly that, again, I was the only sport bike rider there. That happens all the time. I really challenge the sport bike riders of the United States to come to at least one Patriot Guard ride a year. It'll do you a lot of good. It's an interesting event from just strictly the motorcycle point of view, and it's really, really something the families of these veterans and active duty military people appreciate. It's a good way to serve your community, ride your motorcycle, make some friends. Go to patriotguard.org, especially if you're a sport bike rider. I'm tired of being the only sport bike at these events. Thank you very much. Now, on with our show. Our tour starts on the north edge of Crawford. What we're looking at on my left here that you see is the famous Cindy Crawford plot that she's since sold. This was where she lived for a while. It's just a field. There's no real buildings on there, and there's still some kind of peace organization there now. But Cindy's moved on, although she did bury her uterus in this field. So a little bit of Cindy will always be here in Crawford. This is the north edge of town. We're driving into the little town of Crawford. It's a beautiful summer we've had. It's been pretty hot, but we've got a fair amount of rain, at least an average amount, and it's real green, you can see. Crawford is in rolling prairie land. When the Europeans first came to this part of the world, there were very few trees. It was all real high prairie grass. But as we've cultivated the land, we've replaced that high prairie grass with cultivated fields like these and lots of oak and cedar trees. A real pretty town. So here we are, riding along into Crawford, and we'll start to see Crawford itself here in a minute. I've spent some time in Crawford for some demonstrations. We won't go into the politics of it. I'm a conservative, I'll just say that. But I've been to Crawford a number of times for demonstrations when it was crowded with people body to body, TV cameras and TV trucks everywhere, people with signs, mass hysteria, dogs and cats living together. But it's rapidly returning to its former sleepy little self. Here we are in downtown Crawford. There's the service station, one of the two that they have. Here's the bank, a newest building in Crawford. Beyond that's their big sort of central point, these huge grain storage elevators that are by the Union Pacific tracks. I just missed videos of an Amtrak passenger train that went through here that was kind of cool. Coming up on our left as we pass the tracks will be the famous Peace House. This was bought by peace activists and was sort of a headquarters. I have pictures on my Flickr page of lots of peace-loving people mobbing this place and camping in the yard and stuff. It's pretty quiet now. Interestingly, the house right next door, this next house on the left was very pro-George Bush. So this house would have lots of pro-Bush, pro-America, I guess you could say pro-war signs in its yard back in the day when the big demonstrations were going on. But we've returned to our sleepy little hamlet now. We're sort of on the older part of Crawford right now, driving around in here. I'm going to drive on some gravel, which is good practice for me. You know, if you're a new rider, you want to be careful. Gravel has a lot of resemblance to ball bearings when you're riding on it. It's easy to drop the bike on gravel. I didn't do it, but I was very cautious and had my spidey sense turned all the way up while I was driving here on this road that has about half gravel. I'll drive down here. There'll be a little church, and I'll kind of turn around. For a little tiny town, Crawford's got lots of churches. They've got, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them. So here we are turning around. This guy didn't win Yard of the Month in Crawford this year, I don't think. But, you know, this is the country, and this is what some of your neighbors will be like. This, again, is the older part of Crawford. Look at the gravel and stuff there. Lots of fun to ride a sport bike on that, I can tell you that. Here's another little church, and I'll turn around again because I was trying to work around Crawford, and I finally decided I couldn't get there from here. So here I am on a gravel kind of parking lot thing. Another Yard of the Month there you can get a little look at. Here we go. We go out of we'll now leave the older part of Crawford's residential area. Head back towards the buzzing downtown scene. You can see the grain elevator there in the behind that White House. Some kids waved at me and made a big fuss as I come around here. I don't know if it's on the video or not. The railroad crossing was pretty bumpy. You can see the camera jump around a little bit. So here we go, riding through Crawford and headed back towards downtown. You'll see a souvenir store with a bunch of paraphernalia, cows and wagons and stuff on the top of it. It used to have cannons on top of it, which I thought was pretty cool. But they had a big thunderstorm roll through here about a year ago, and it did a lot of damage, and it knocked the cannons off of the roof of this souvenir store you're about to see here. There we are crossing the UP tracks again. There, that little store on the right used to have cannons looking out over it, and I thought that was great. It's a souvenir shop. On the left is a gas station and restaurant. I'm going to eat lunch there as soon as I've done with your tour. It's a really good place to eat lunch. It's actually worth driving up from Temple. They've got a really big variety of hamburgers, if you like hamburgers, including alligator, buffalo, and Kobe beef burgers, in addition to several different varieties of regular, plain old American hamburgers. Lots of pickup trucks in Crawford. There's the souvenir shop. You get a little glimpse of that. Now, there's something called Camp Quail. That's it in front of the motorcycle there. That is a run by a dad who lost his son in Iraq, and he's been there quite a long time, almost as long as Cindy. He is a Bush supporter. I appreciated the fact that he used to put crosses up, but he wouldn't put a cross up if he didn't have written permission of the family. I thought that was more appropriate than taking the names of soldiers that you didn't know anything about and using them for your political agenda. Here on the left is where the TV vans all park when we have the demonstrations in Crawford. This big field, I've seen it covered with huge TV satellite trucks. No satellite trucks here today. Now, to be fair to Crawford, this is the newer part of town we're driving into, and you can see there's nice newer houses, brick houses in this area. It's probably slightly more affluent part of Crawford than the neighborhood we were just in, although there's a few really large houses, nothing resembling a mansion. Not even the president's house resembles a mansion, because there's another church, because his square footage is, I think, something on the order of like 3,500 feet, which is, I've lived in a house almost that big, and I'm by no means wealthy. So President Bush did not build a mansion out here, unlike some of the people who's run against Gore. Anyway, again, no politics in this video. There's a nice house there with some columns, two-story house, and real nice landscaping. And so we'll head back towards the restaurant to eat some lunch. The people, if you ever come by here, the people in Crawford, there's no attractions. You can buy a stuffed raccoon butt in the souvenir store, and a few different Texas and Bush-related paraphernalia if you want to. I mean, if you're not a Bush supporter, I guess you could set fire to some of it, but pay for it first, please, and don't do it if there's a fire burn ban, as there often is here in Texas. I'm going to pull into the parking lot here in front of the gas station / restaurant and have a really good lunch. It was satisfying to ride for the Patriot Guard this morning, and a lot of fun to come out here and visit Crawford one more time when it's sort of at peace instead of in the middle of mass hysteria. Thank you for watching my video. This is Jim, and I live in Texas.